Student body weight can drastically change the experience of Pilates on a chair. Today, I'm talking about how. Hi, my name is Kayleen, and I'm a mechanical engineer, and I teach Pilates physics. Pilates chairs are awesome pieces of equipment, and I love them in part because they take away a lot of the support that you get from a reformer. So they're a great way to scale difficulty and load. However, we're often taught to memorize spring settings, and that just doesn't work. It's like saying every pair of prescription glasses should have the same lenses. By sheer luck, it will work for some people, but for most people, it will give them a headache. Today, we're looking at how body weight can affect the Pilates chair experience. In step up front, the springs support the movement. So as the pedal lowers toward the floor, the springs provide more resistance, helping you lift the pedal back up. Here's the setup we're looking at today. An older balanced body combo chair, 2 black springs hooked onto the top hook in the back, and 2 humans having the same dimensions of limbs. However, one weighs 250 pounds and one weighs 140 pounds. The first thing to remember is that body weight doesn't change the spring properties. The springs are going to provide the same load no matter where the pedal is in space and how heavy the person is. What we care about in this exercise is the resultant force. Basically, how much work or load is the person experiencing. We can break this down with simple math. The person's body weight is going down with gravity, and then the vertical component of the spring force is pushing up against the person's body weight. So to find the resultant force, we take the body weight minus the vertical component of the spring force. At the top of the pedal range, just to open the springs a little bit, the springs provide 12 pounds of resistance in the vertical direction. So the heavier person has to move 238 pounds, and the lighter person has to move 128 pounds. When the pedal's in the middle of its range, the vertical component of the spring force is 47 pounds. So the heavier person has to control 203 pounds, and the lighter person has to control 93 pounds. And at the bottom of the pedal range, the vertical component of the spring force is 66 pounds. So that means the heavier person has to move 184 pounds, and the lighter person has to move 74 pounds. So what does this mean? It means that if you give your students the same spring settings for step up front, they're not all getting the same challenge. Now, do you want all of your students to have the exact same challenge? Relatively, yes, I want it to be hard for them. But that doesn't mean that they should all be on some ideal level of weight. We're not trying to get that. Everyone has different strength levels anyway, and you could have a really strong 250-pound person and a really weak 250-pound person, and giving them different spring settings is the right move because they have different requirements to achieve a hard workout. So if you've made it this far, here's my question for you. How would you make this exercise have a higher load for your students?